Lesson 3.6, Solving Multi-Step Inequalities. Before we begin this lesson, I want to review the previous lessons with you. So number 1, x plus 4 is greater than 10. Remember, we're trying to clear the side, and this is a side, with the x. That means we need to get rid of the adding 4. To do that, I add negative 4 to both sides. And remember, this inequality symbol separates the sides. This becomes 0, you're left with x. This becomes 6, and this does not flip. Okay, remember, when we add or subtract, it has nothing to do with flipping the inequality. There's my answer. Number 2, here's the variable. I need to get rid of the 2 that's being multiplied, so I divide each side by 2. That becomes 1, which is 1x is just x. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. It does not flip, even though I'm dividing, but I divided by a positive, so it does not flip. And number 3, there is the variable. I need to clear the dividing by negative 7. To do that, I multiply each side by negative 7. So this becomes n. Negative 7 times negative 7 is 49. Because I multiply both sides by a negative, then I flip my inequality. So that does flip. Example 1. You're participating in a charity walk. You want to raise at least $500 for the charity. You already have $175 by asking people to pledge $25 each. How many more $25 pledges do you need? We're going to let P represent the number of additional pledges. Okay, so you want to raise at least $500. That means how much you want to raise. The minimum desired amount goes here, which is $500. Bring down the inequality. Okay, that means I can raise more than that because I want to be at least 500, which means I need more than 500. I can have 500, but I want at least. You already have $175. That's the money we already raised. And you're asking people to pledge $25 each. What you don't know is how many more additional pledges you need. That's the variable. And we are adding that amount to the amount we already raised. So that is my two-step or multi-step inequality. This is just like a two-step problem. Think of it being an equal sign there if you need to. So I need to clear the constant, which is 175. So I add negative 175, or they like to subtract. Okay. Again, I like to do it so it's this way, but the same thing. They still cancel each other out on this left side. 500 minus 175 is 325. Now we have 25. We just brought it down. Divided times P. So we need to divide each side by 25. Cancel. 325 divided by 25 is 13. This, you can see this inequality symbol does not change because what I divided by was a positive. It does not matter that I added a negative. It only has to do with multiplying or dividing by a negative, and this was positive, so nothing changes. You need at least 13 more pledges of $25. We're going to skip this checkpoint. Let's look at example 2. Okay, again, if it confuses you, change it so that it is a two-step equation. So, we're going to change subtraction to adding a negative. Here's my variable. I'm dividing by negative 3, adding negative 9. My constant is the negative 9, so I add positive 9 to both sides. That's the first thing I do. First step in my two-step equation. That will clear the 9's. Negative 7 plus 9 is positive 2. Just bring down x divided by 3. Okay. When it says simplify, I like to say rewrite the problem just to make it a little bit easier. Now we have to clear dividing by negative 3. Here's your second step. Multiply each side by negative 3. Negative 3's cancel. Because remember, that's like 1 over negative 3 times negative 3, which is 1x. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Because I multiplied by a negative 3 on both sides, this inequality changes from a less than to a greater than. It is x is greater than negative 6. Again, you can always go back and check your work. Pick a number that's greater than negative 6, like 0. Plug it in. 0 divided by negative 3 is 0, plus negative 9 is negative 9. Is negative 9 less than negative 7? Yes, it is. That checks. Please pause the video and solve this inequality. Remember, the sign flips, the inequality symbol flips if you divide or multiply by a negative. Problem number 2. Here's the variable. We need to clear the 2 and the 9. The 9 is first because that's the constant. We add the opposite. The other side of the inequality symbol, that becomes 0. 25 minus 9 is 16. Bring down the 2x. This is called simplifying or rewriting. Bring down the inequality. Get rid of the 2 that's being multiplied by dividing by 2. X and 8, does it change? It does not, because I divided by a positive. That's my answer. We also should graph it. Okay, it did say to graph. Remember, the way I like to graph is I just put a number line, I put down 8, open or closed, open. X represents the arrow and X is less, so I'm going left. Left is less. Number 3, add the opposite. We need to clear the 2 by adding 2 to both sides. Becomes negative 1. Nothing happens with the inequality because we added, so it doesn't matter. We got to clear the dividing by negative 4 by multiplying by negative 4. You get 4. You get x left alone. I multiply by a negative 4, so this does flip or reverse. 4 is less than or equal to x. You can see that this looks a little bit different. But remember, you can flip the entire thing and it's still the same answer. 4 is less than or equal to x, just like x is greater than or equal to 4. Same thing. Okay, the x is bigger. Remember, the inequality opens up, this mouth on this monster opens up to the bigger number, however you want to think about it. Let's make the graph, which is 4. Close because of that line underneath, that or equal to, and x is greater, so we're going right. Pause the video and try number 4 and 5 if you have not done so already. Number 4, here's my subtracting. Let's add the opposite. That is a negative 1. That's going to matter, so you might want to put that 1. I need to clear my constant. That's a coefficient. My constant's negative 4, so I add 4. The whole goal is to get 0. Go to the other side of the equal sign, or the inequality sign, add 4. You get 6. Bring down the inequality because we just added. In fact, I'm going to rewrite it so it's a little bit further down. Bring down the negative 1x. You need to clear that negative 1. It is multiplied, so we divide by negative 1. This becomes negative 6. This is an x. Remember, that canceled. Do I flip the inequality? Yes, I do. I divided by a negative 1. And this should have a line underneath. Again, you could reverse this entire thing by putting the x here, flipping that, because the x is on the other side. It's like a mirror image. That is the same exact answer. Put the number line, negative 6, it's closed, x is greater, so we're going right. This should be closed. Number 5, here's the variable, clear the 2, clear the 4. Clear the 4 first by adding a negative or subtracting, however you like to think about it. This is x divided by 2, that became 0. Bring down the inequality, this is 5. Multiply by 2, that's 10, that clears the x. Do not flip. X is less than or equal to 10. Graph it. Closed, x is less, so it goes to the left.